Evening. Right, things to concentrate on for the Unit 2 are certainly fieldwork and research. Fieldwork and research will definitely come up, it comes up all the time. Make sure that you remember primary data, data that you've collected yourself, and secondary data as well. That's very, very important. Primary data, secondary data, always turns up. Primary data depends on whether it's coast or for the rebranding, all the same sorts of things. If you remember, questionnaires to residents, to visitors, what type of sampling techniques do you use as well, stratified sampling, systematic sampling, oral histories, you can ask elderly people, footfalls, pedestrian counts, car park surveys, videos or transcripts such as this. To record ideas, you can have individual approach, group approach, you can make land use plans, make your own land use maps, and so on. So anything that you've done individually. So that's your field work, your primary data. Your secondary data, your research. Remember historic maps, remember the websites, www.old-maps.co.uk, old newspapers and local newspapers. Remember for coast, the Bournemouth Echo, blogs, old photographs, old postcards, electronic maps showing change over time as well. And make sure you remember all the GIS. There's stuff on Moodle about GIS, so make sure that you remember all that. And again, sampling strategies as well, libraries as well, local libraries. And internet, make sure you reference, don't just say internet, make sure you use specific websites. I'm sort of rushing through this because I don't know how long it will take to upload all this stuff. So primary and secondary data, very important, field work and research, and it's the same sorts of things, exactly the same for coast and for rebranding. Just make sure you turn it into what examples you use, your case studies that you use. Right, for coasts, possible questions, the development of coasts, the growth of coasts. So remember all the physical factors. Use Bournemouth, use Dorset and Hampshire, the south coast, the Jurassic coast, you can say. Physical factors for its development, again remember the relief, the topography, the geology, and so on. The human factors, the terrain, the climate as well, obviously with the physical geography as well on the south coast. Human factors, tourism industry, train lines, and so on. All the human reasons for it to develop. South-facing coasts as well. Don't just use Bournemouth. Use Swanage as well. Any of the places that we visited when we were on the field trip, you can use them. If you need a foreign place, again, remember you can use anything, anywhere you've been on holiday if you want, or obviously Neha, and you can use that. So physical and human reasons for development. The other coastal thing that they do is management, coastal management. So remember your different types of engineering approaches: hard engineering, soft engineering. Your advance the line, move seawards. Your sea walls, remember all the different things of rock armour, gabions and so on, groins, longshore drift and so forth. So stabilise sand dunes and so on, allowing estuary development, salt marsh development and so on. Manage so that you've got to hold the line as well. Then remember to make sure you use your examples. Use Barton-on-Sea. Use Chesil Beach, Hurst Castle. Use these places that we looked at: Swanage, Lulworth Bay, Lulworth Cove even, and Isle of Portland. So make sure you use the examples that we looked at, and managed retreat as well, where you actually accept that the Barton-on-Sea classic example, where you've got management at one place, and then beyond Naish Farm. Remember Naish Farm? It's east of Naish Farm. Where they've stopped putting the defence in. Remember Hengistbury Head, but east of Naish Farm, where they've stopped putting the defences in. That's where the golf course, the land's less valuable, and it's agricultural land past the golf course, and they allow it managed retreat there. So Barton-on-Sea, very important. Rebranding, your other issues there. Obviously, make sure you look at your case studies. Use Birmingham. It's a nailed-on example. Use the different redevelopments of Birmingham, the 1950s, 60s with the slum clearance, skyscrapers, the old bullring that was built, and so forth. Then in the 1990s, the redevelopment of Broad Street and so on. Lee Bank. Make sure you remember that. The demolition there, improving the area. Social improvements, economic improvements, environmental improvements, all those sorts of things. Name places, name Broad Street, Brindley Place, Gas Street Basin, and so on. New street pedestrianisation, and then the more recent development of the new bullring, the Selfridges, and so on. The turning of the rotunda from office blocks. New Street Station as well, so infrastructure developments as well, and the John Lewis that is going to be on there, mixed land use. There's the whole redevelopment going on down Digbeth as well, down east side. So name places. It doesn't have to be Birmingham City Centre, you can use Solihull as well. Touchwood, the whole redevelopment there. Think about other places, make sure you've got your rural examples as well. Just any place you know, but make sure you talk case studies as well. Possibly high street decline. I just wonder if that might come up, what with all the closures. It's probably a bit too recent, but there were some declines. They'd have set the exam about 6 months ago, so possibly something on the impact of the high street, maybe re-imaging, redeveloping high streets. I do fancy London. Make sure you use London. London Olympics might well come up. Possibly the sort of the legacy and so on, and all the redevelopments there around Stratford and the Olympic Park. And again, what developments short term and long term. So make sure you use that as a good case study. There's lots and lots of good stuff on Moodle. I do urge you to look at the past mark schemes as well. They're all there, but you'll see that the same sorts of things are coming up. Hopefully, you've still got them from last year. On Moodle, I've put the case studies for coast and rebranding, which is right at the top of the Unit 2, Topic 2, crowded coastline. So make sure you have a look at that. There's all sorts of stuff there. For your field work, again, you can look at the success of coastal management if it's on coast, or the success of excuse me, got a little bit bald there, aren't I? The success of Birmingham's redevelopment and so on, and again you can give figures. All the fieldwork results are actually on the HARA if you want to go and look at those. If not, you can use your own research and be creative, obviously, and be realistic. So, but talk figures, talk percents if they ask you about results. But on Moodle, there's all the rebranding stuff. There's Birmingham case study. I've put a Birmingham rebranding model answer up there for you. Some planning on Birmingham. I've got a rural rebranding case study page on there as well with some examples. And for the coastlines, I've got all the coast there. There's things on the growth of Bournemouth. There's GIS. Make sure you look at GIS. There's Nerja as well in Spain. There's pressures on the coast, and there's some PowerPoints from the exam board. So good luck with it. Manage your time well, answer all the questions, and do use examples and make sure you answer exactly what is said. Hope this has been vaguely useful, and good luck with it. Go and give them hell, and then we can mull it all over on Tuesday. Right, I'll leave you with a little map of the world in the background. How about that? Do you like that? Look at that, Africa's changed. Some countries in there that you'd like that. Some of you should do. Look at this. West Pakistan, Persia. Ever heard of any of these countries, have you? Siam, Cambodia. Look, Korea, one country. Look at this, Spanish Sahara. Anyway, good luck.